Welcome to Scambaiting Emails, where today we eavesdrop on a highly personal correspondence. Dear email owner, according to the most recent statistics, that puts me among 4 billion other people, so you can tell this is a highly selective list. We have concluded to effected your scam victims' compensation payment of $12.5 US dollars, and I should kindly contact MoneyGram agent Sir Barrister Larry Ben. Apparently, where Mrs. Rose Dean lives, MoneyGram agents are knighted attorneys. That's kind of impressive. And I should be sure to give Sir Barrister Larry Ben my full receiver's information, the kind of stuff that's really none of his business. Or you can call him as soon as you receive this email and tell him to give you the MTCN sender name and question answer to pick up the $5,000 US dollars. Let me know as soon as you received all your funds, $12.5 million US dollars. And so it begins. Dear Mrs. Rose Dean, thank you for contacting me about the Scam Victims Compensation Program. It has been so long since it happened that I almost forgot I had complained to the Better Business Bureau, who I guess forwarded my case to you. I am surprised that after my having been swindled out of nearly $200,000, my total scam victims compensation would be only $12.5 US dollars. I referred to a previous encounter in which I was ripped off for $200,000, hoping to make me an even more appealing mark to them, but they never seemed to pick up on those hints. In the meantime, to my great fortune, Saudi Aramco Crude Oil Company has recruited me to be their new sales marketing manager. I have not yet signed their employment contract due to a problem opening the PDF file they sent me, but I expect to begin my new position any day now, and they have offered me a goodly salary. I don't know what the job's benefits package is like, but I'm sure it will be generous. Although I appreciate all of your efforts on my behalf, $12.5 US dollars is such a small amount of money that rather than send it to me, I prefer that you donate it to the animal rescue charity of your choice. If you don't know of a good one to donate my compensation to, I recommend International Animal Rescue. But if you have a favorite animal rescue charity of your own, by all means, donate my $12.5 US dollars to them. And thank you once again for your efforts on behalf of myself and all other unfortunate scam victims. It is reassuring to know that there still are some nice people in the world. Thank you. Rob, or as my friends call me, Rob McClen. Only a day later, it seems that Sir Barrister Larry Ben has been promoted to Chief Judge Larry Ben, who says, "Thank you very much for your massage. Your compensation is $12.5 million US dollars." Wait, what? 12.5 million? I think I might be confused. Dear Chief Judge, I apologize for my confusion among the massages. The email from Mrs. Rose Dean said the amount of the payment I would receive is $12.5 US dollars. Here's a photograph of the notification I received from Mrs. Rose Dean. Do I understand you to say the actual amount is 12.5 million US dollars? That is a very big difference in amounts. One of them, $12.5 million US dollars, is actually 1 million times bigger than the first one, $12.5 US dollars. If I were able to donate $12.5 million US dollars to International Animal Rescue, it would help rescue so many animals that I don't even know how many, but it would be many, many animals. This wouldn't be my primary reason for making a donation of that size, but with a donation of that size, they probably would name an entire lion's cage after me. I don't mean the small cage where a lion can't even walk around. I mean the very, very large one where several lions can roam about in their natural habituary. Was Mrs. Rose Dean misinformed when she said $12.5 US dollars? Or maybe it was a typological error in the writing of the email. Please do let me know for sure which amount is correct. If the correct amount is $12.5 million US dollars, I would like to accept that compensation payment. Chief Judge Larry Ben is quick to assure me it is a typewriting error. The total amount is $12.5 million US dollars. Whoa, that's a big difference. So I replied to the Chief Judge, "Oh, that's a big difference. Yes, please, I will gladly accept my compensation payment of $12.5 million US dollars. I was going to ask you to send the compensation payment directly to International Animal Rescue, but upon further thinking, I would rather you send the money to me and I will write a personal check to International Animal Rescue, which will give me a nice tax deduction as well as the chance to help those poor animals. If it will not be in violation of the rules, I might use just a small amount of the $12.5 million US dollars to buy a Zugu Case for my iPad, which I have dropped several times and have needed to replace several times. It is a small investment that I am confident will pay off in the long term. I am sure you have my particulars on file. Please send the money to the address of my Florida home because that is where I spend my summer months. Again, sir, thank you. Chief Judge Larry Benn thanks me very much for my response and tells me, "You are required to receiver's information such as," and then lists a bunch of things that really are none of his business and that I'm sure he already has, perhaps unknowingly. Dear Chief Judge, please go ahead and use the address and other details that Mrs. Rosedeen has on file for me from the Better Business Bureau, who originally forwarded my case to her. I apologize if my previous massage was confusing. When I said I spend my summer months in my Florida home, it probably sounded like I live in Florida during the summers and somewhere else during the winters. What I was trying to elucidate was that even if it takes several weeks to send the money, I'll still be here, even if by then it's summer. None of my details has changed, except that I'm several years older now than when I was scammed in 2015 or very early in 2016. Ironically, my address would be different now if I hadn't lost the $200,000. I had just put up my Lake Wales estate for sale and was waiting for the mortgage on the new property in Bartow to be approved, but then suddenly I didn't have the money for the down payment and closing fees because I lost the $200,000. This was very upsetting to me for obvious reasons. In addition to the humiliation and financial hardship of being the victim of a scam, my new Bartow estate was going to have a private tennis court, which, believe it or not, the Lake Wales Property Owners Association said nobody living there could have. I even celebrated what I thought was going to be my estate in Bartow by purchasing in advance a Babolat Pure Aero VS tennis racket. This is a newer model than the one I purchased, but it's pretty much the same as mine, which I have had to keep in the hall closet all this time, except that instead of a yellow trim, mine is closer to Tuscan Sun, which isn't as bright, but I think it's a bit classier than the model they sell now. My eldest son, Ricky, often jokes that I talk too much about tennis and the tools of tennis, such as rackets and balls. If that applies here, then I do apologize for going on and on about it. I just really love tennis. To re-elucide my intention, please do go ahead and send the money to the Florida address that Mrs. Rosedeen has on file for me, the one in Lake Wales, not the one in Bartow. But I guess I've overestimated his office's record-keeping abilities. As Chief Judge Larry Benn explains, I only have your email address and a scam victim for past year as United Nations presented to us. Provide your necessary requirements from you and get paid today. Thank you very much. Dear Chief Judge, I am surprised United Nations bestowed to you only my email address. How do they think we are supposed to conduct business without our mutual full contact information? Please send me a secure information questionnaire in a secure PDF document so that I can enter all of my private information and send it back to you without fear of email thieves who can read any word or words that are left out in the open in an email. I will return the completed PDF document form promptly, and then all the paperwork will be done, and you'll be able to send the $12.5 million US dollars. I think that message is polite and respectful. Don't you agree? You can imagine how surprised I am when Chief Judge Larry Benn replies, I don't think that you have a right to question authority without complying with the appropriate request from you. You are asked to provide your following informations, such as... Well, I didn't get where I am today by allowing complete strangers, even if they are chief judges, to speak to me so disrespectfully, and I'm not afraid to tell them so. Dear sir, I am shocked and puzzled by your reply. I have treated you with the utmost respect and in no way questioned your authority. I clearly expressed a desire to promptly provide the information you requested. My exact words were, and I quote, please send me a secure information questionnaire in a secure PDF document so that I can enter all of my private information and send it back to you promptly. In today's world of terrorism and insecurity, people of all countries and beliefs repeatedly are advised not to send personal information in an insecure email. This is not like when we were children and we could afford to be more lax in our electronic communications. In fact, undoubtedly, that is the reason the United Nations bestowed to you only my email address. Looking back now in hindsight to then, I feel a bit flundered to have expressed surprise that the United Nations did not send you all of my pertinent personal information. They were only following universally accepted security protocols, and I am afraid my enthusiasm for our project blinded me to the realities of the strictures that restrict them in sharing information. If you are not familiar with the many directives the United Nations has issued regarding email security, I invite you to confirm this through looking at their many published security guidelines that can be found at this URL. Perhaps you inadvertently overlooked my request that you please send me a secure information questionnaire in a secure PDF document so that I can enter all of my private information and send it back to you promptly. Or perhaps you are having a bad day, as all of us do at one time or another. You may be a chief judge, but that does not give you permission to treat me rudely and as though I am a lowly servant to you. The fact that you have been hired to distribute proper reimbursement of lost monies to scam victims such as myself does not give you the authority to speak to me so roughly. Mrs. Rose Dean may have mentioned to you that I have been offered a job as sales marketing manager for Saudi Aramco Crude Oil Company. The personnel department has not yet completed all the fine print paperwork to formalize my appointment. Actually, and with irony, they did send me a PDF questionnaire for me to fill out and return securely. But there was a problem opening the PDF file on my computer, and they are having their IT, information technician department, figure out what the problem was so they can send me a new one. They will be paying me a handsome salary with very, very generous benefits and exciting room for advancement within the company. So if my scam victim's compensation payment is delayed because it becomes necessary for me to request the United Nations to appoint someone else to process the payment that is due me, someone who treats me respectfully and with courtesy, I will be able to wait for that delay to pass due to my upcoming salary from Saudi Aramco Crude Oil Company. If you wish to continue the process we have begun with mutual and respect, let us do so. But if you believe that being a chief judge somehow makes you superior to me as a human being and entitles you to treat me as an inferior, I prefer to restrict all future communications to someone else in your department who believes everyone should be treated with the respect which all people, regardless of their status in life, are entitled. In his reply, Chief Judge Larry Benn attempts to be at least a little more polite. Thank you very much for your response, dear beneficiary. Do not be so much annoyed with my previous response, but you are required to bring all your information so that I will submit it to UBA Bank of Benin Republic so that you will receive your funds without any problem. And again, you are requested to pay an activation fee charges of your funds. And again, immediately you pay for your activation fee charges of your fund. The first payment will be released, and also obtain your documents that will back up your funds PDF, but you will follow up the bank procedure and abide by their law. Thank you. Best regards. I'd like to point out that for the first time, Chief Judge Larry Benn says, best regards. Clearly, he wants to get back on my good side. Dear Chief Judge, I absolutely and without question understand your need for the information you requested about myself, and I am happy to provide it to you without hesitation. The only problem is that I can't just put the information you need into a regular email such as this one. Please do not worry. This is a problem we can easily overcome. It doesn't need to be any kind of obstacle to our mutual goals. You see, when you send a regular email, such as this one, cyber criminals in the dark web can see every word you write. They can even see these words I am writing to you right now, which is why I'm being careful not to say anything confidential. So if anyone else is reading this who shouldn't be, this won't help you commit any cyber crimes. The number one thing that police and experts warn us against is sending personal information in an unprotected email. I read 3 different articles that gave that warning in just the past week in 3 different publications: Consumer Reports, Bloomberg Businessweek, and OK Boomer. All 3 say the same thing. Put your personal information, social security, bank details, etc., only in a password-protected secure PDF file, which is what the United Nations itself recommends as the number one safety action to take with important information in emails. That way, the only people who can see that information are the people who have the password. How do you get the password? It's really easy. Put all of the information you need entered into a PDF, give it a password, and send it to the other person. Let that other person know what the password is, and then they can open the PDF, providing all the necessary information that you need, close up the PDF using the same password, and then email it back to you. Even if a criminal stole your entire email, they wouldn't be able to see what's in the PDF because they won't know the password. That's the secret. Probably you already know all of this and know how to send me a PDF listing the information you need from me, protected by a password. Or, of course, it might be that as chief judge, you have one of the smaller judges do that kind of work for you and then just give you the safe PDF to send to me. Regardless of whether you make the safe PDF or another judge or bailiff makes it, just make sure it has a password and send it to me by email. I promise to faithfully fill in all the information you ask for, put the password back on, and send it right back to you without delay. One more thing before I forget. In your latest message, you mentioned an activation fee charges of my funds. I assumed there would be some sort of minor expense involved, but please understand that this is the first time you have mentioned it to me at all. If you are concerned that I have not forwarded the activation fee charges of my funds, that is only because I have not been given any information about that. I don't even know how much it will be, as well as who to send it to. So, if you could give me the details about the activation fee charges of my funds, and also put the list of information that you need about me in a secure PDF, we should be able to proceed without any additional delay. But it looks as though Chief Judge Larry Benn hasn't really been paying close attention to my communications. Good day, dear beneficiary. Try your possible to reconfirm your information so that I can start processing your compensation settlement. But I am determined to remain polite and diplomatic. Dear Chief Judge, please see my previous message to you re the necessity of using a secure PDF to transmit my personal information. Chief Judge Larry Benn responds, reconfirm your information and your PDF, and I will be released today. Oh, okay, we're just going in circles here, and I didn't get where I am today by just going in circles. Dear Chief Judge, we appear to be stuck in an unending loop. Or perhaps your secretary is not passing along all of my emails to you. My email to you of June 4 ended, if you could also put the list of information that you need about me in a secure PDF, we should be able to proceed without any additional delay. That same day, you replied, try your possible to reconfirm your information so that I can start processing your compensation settlement. The following day, I replied, please see my previous messages to you, read the necessity of using a secure PDF to transmit my personal information. And the next day, you again said, reconfirm your information and your PDF, and I will be released today. This is what is known as the circular travel trip, where we seem to be going round and round but making no progress. If it will speed up this process that I am certain has frustrated both you and me, I will have my technical assistant create a secure, password-protected PDF document that contains the following information, followed by the usual list of things that really aren't any of his business. After I fill in the information, my technical assistant will wrap up the PDF document safely with a required password that will be required for the PDF document to be opened by the appropriate person in your office. Please understand that under no circumstances am I allowed to put the personal information you have requested in a plain, unprotected email. It must be in a password-protected document that I attach to an email that I send to you, and I will send you the unique secret password separately, not in the same email as the document itself. If you would like me to do that, please tell me. It has become apparent that waiting for one of your clerks or smaller judges to do this on your behalf cannot succeed. As I am sure someone in your position can appreciate, I simply cannot do all the work of creating and transmitting the secure password-protected document without your assurance that you, perhaps assisted by your IT information technician department, if necessary, will unlock the secure PDF with the unique password I will provide you in a separate email. If the above solution is agreeable to you, then let us agree to do that, and I will endeavor to put the information you need into that secure document as described above. Now, that should get things moving, don't you think? Well, you're mistaken. Good day, dear honorable beneficiary. I have wrote to you several times regarding your funds worth of $12.5 million US, but you paid no attention. Try your possible best to make the payment on time so that your first payment will be released to you without any more further delaying. Thank you. Best regard, Mr. Barrister Larry Benn. Probably because of his repeated circular travel tripping, it appears he has been stripped of his knighthood and has been demoted from Sir to Mr. On the other hand, he did gain an extra space between Larry and Ben, so there's that. but he's just wasting my time, and I didn't get where I am today by having people just waste my time. So I decide to terminate this correspondence as diplomatically as possible. Dear Chief Judge, I really hate to say this, but you must be really, really, really stupid. You claim I paid no attention to your previous emails. I sent you emails on May 26, 2 of them, May 27, May 29, May 30, June 1, June 4, June 5, June 9. In fact, the email you just sent me includes a copy of the email I sent you on June 9, an email to which you never responded. At the beginning, I was willing to work with you. But after you wasted my time for 2 full weeks, I have come to realize you are just some child who is playing stupid practical jokes on strangers. Or if you're an adult, you must be really, really, really stupid. Before bringing this episode to a full stop, I feel obliged to tell Mrs. Rose Dean, the person who originally asked me to work out all the details with this really, really, really stupid, denighted barrister. Dear Mrs. Rose Dean, I am writing to let you know that because of what appears to be the inefficiency of Chief Judge Larry Ben's staff, I have no choice but to abandon our project. Apparently, there is some personal information that is needed about me. I repeatedly requested that the Chief Judge send me the questions he needs answered in a password-protected, secure PDF file that I can open on my end, fill in all the information, and then put the password back on and return it to him. Each time I made that request, I received a terse email telling me to reconfirm your information and your PDF. I am guessing that the Chief Judge probably doesn't make the PDFs himself. That would be done by someone on his staff. So I'm not blaming Chief Judge Larry Ben. Obviously, he has other things to do than making PDF files. He might even be in court, presiding over some important judicial proceeding. But whoever it is on his staff that is supposed to be handling this is, as we say, dropping the pumpkin and simply not doing his or her job. I wouldn't be surprised if Chief Judge Larry Ben isn't even shown all of my emails and has no idea that this transaction wasn't completed long ago. Anyway, the last time I received any communication from the Chief Judge or his office was June 7, nearly 3 weeks ago. I simply cannot put my life on hold any longer. While I could have made very good use of my compensation money, I must continue with the daily obligations of my life. I feel I owe you the courtesy of explaining why I no longer will attempt to conclude this transaction. This has simply wasted my time and caused me great frustration. Please understand that in no way do I hold you responsible for this mess, and thank you for attempting to send my scam victims' compensation payment to me. In sincerity, Rob McClellan. So, what lesson have I learned from this encounter? I think I'll stop asking these scammers for a secure PDF. Ultimately, that appears to bring us to a dead end. Meanwhile, I'm in deep conversation with the FBI, trying to convince them that I have not been killed by gangsters, and also working with the Nigerian Minister of Finance and Economic Planning to arrest some guy I used to work with for falsely claiming that I assigned my power of attorney to him. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel so you'll know whenever I've added a new Scambaiting email video. If you'll be kind enough to make a comment below on your reactions to this video, I promise to make sure Rob sees it. It's been an honor to share this Scambaiting adventure with you. In sincerity and on behalf of Rob McClellan.